Good evening and welcome to Chlorine Callaloo. I am Sydney Lookfron from Petatron Barracuda Swim Club. We are streaming live on the Facebook and YouTube pages of Trinidad Freestyles and the Facebook pages of Morve Lang, Cindy and Jane and the Center of Excellence Swimming Pool Complex. Remember to follow us, like the pages and share the live. And now our Chlorine News Flash. We are just under 400 hours away from the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Finally, after months of insecurity, the Games are almost here. So it is confirmed, Sherelle Thompson and Dylan Carter are officially on the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic team. The Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee named a 30-athlete team to represent the red, white and black at the Tokyo Olympics. The athletes will be assisted by the management team of manager Tracy Montrechard-Carter and coach Chase Block. Congratulations to the entire team. Dylan Carter was drafted to the London Row swim team for the 2021 season of the International Swimming League, ISL. In the draft last week, Carter was snatched up by the London Row and will join fellow Caribbean athlete and world record holder Aaliyah Atkinson of Jamaica. England's Adam Peaty and Australia's Emma McKeon are among the top-class field. Kenzon Simeons of Suriname was also selected as a rookie pick for London Raw. Congrats to Dylan and our fellow Caribbean athletes. The FINA Men's Super League of Water Polo came to a close in Georgia. Montenegro edged USA 9-8 in the final and signaled its intentions for Tokyo Olympic gold. Greece won the bronze by a 10-8 scoreline versus Italy. This is the third time Montenegro won the tournament following wins in 2009 and 2018. Are you interested in being an artistic swimming judge? Artistic swimming, formerly called synchronized swimming, will be the feature of an upcoming webinar for interested persons. FINA Artistic Swimming Development webinar for judges will take place on 21st, 22nd, and 29th August 2021. The new registration deadline is the 11th of August 2021 and is limited to 15 persons. Interested persons should contact their clubs to register. In Chlorine Callaloo news, we celebrate FINA World Aquatics Day. According to the FINA website, the FINA World Aquatics Day is a day to celebrate and encourage the power of aquatic sports for social well-being and development in all corners of the world. It will be celebrated every year during the first weekend of July before July 19th, the date of the foundation of FINA in London 1908, marking each year the anniversary of FINA. As we celebrate the diversity of our sport, Special Olympics is going to be featured in both our Lifebuoy and Chlorine Champions segments. First, we speak with Special Olympics swim coach Stephen Telfer and Special Olympics trainer director Clayton Williams. In our Visual Eyes sponsored Chlorine Champions, we feature Donovan Garib of Seahawk Swim Club. Donovan won gold in the 2019 Special Olympic World Games in Abu Dhabi. We do trust that clubs will try to do activities that will commemorate World Aquatics Day. Also, coming up on Chlorine Callaloo, Coaches Connection is back this week, and swim coach Darren Samnalsing and strength and conditioning coach Asia Joseph will be speaking on the topic. You know your role is to sport coach a jack of all trades. They will speak to basketball coach Kern George and tennis coach Kyle Hannays, who both have master's degree in the field of sport. And Cindy Ann is all swizzled out from our exciting games last week on our Olympic edition, so we would not be chillaxing this week, but God willing, she'll be here next week. That's it for our Chlorine News Splash. We would like to wish Mrs. Hazel Haynes, head coach of Tidal Wave Aquatics, happy belated birthday. And best wishes to all our athletes who are doing CSEC exams. I am Sydney Lookfung and stay tuned. Up next we have Jason Wickham hosting the Lifebuoy. And please remember to like and share this live. Good evening.
Good evening, and welcome to the Lifebuoy Saving Aquatics, one guest at a time. I'm Jason Wickham, and thank you again for joining Chlorine Callaloo. If you haven't just yet, please make sure you share the live as we're streaming on our various platforms. As we'd like to thank Sydney Lukfong for reading the news this evening, our Chlorine News Splash. Now, Yumi, as you know, is doing her CSEC, so she has the month off. I don't know how she got vacation already. So we have a segment on Special Olympics. As Sydney said in the news, this last weekend was FINA World Aquatics Day, and we are celebrating the diversity we have in the sport. And on screen, we have Mr. Clayton Williams, who's the Sports and Training Director of Special Olympics. Good evening, Mr. Williams.
Good evening.
How are you this evening? Are we supposed to have Mr. Telfer, but I'm not seeing him. Mr. Telfer, are you there? Good evening, Mr. Telfer. All right, so we seem like we're not connecting with Mr. Telfer at this time, so we'll go ahead with Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, Special Olympics. We have you as the Training and Sport Director. What exactly does that mean?
I am responsible. Good afternoon, first of all, and a pleasure to be on your program this evening.
Thank you.
My job is I'm responsible to coordinate to the National Director our 10 disciplines of sports that we do. I am supposed to be encouraged with each sport, have some idea of what goes on in each sport, enough so that I can assist in developing coaches and athletes in this sport. That's my portfolio. And also to design training programs for coaches and athletes in the different sports.
All right, so can you give us like a brief history of Special Olympics generally and Special Olympics in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, Special Olympics started with the Eunice Kennedy Shriver, who started a program for persons with intellectual disabilities because of one of her siblings who was Down syndrome, and there were no activities around that catered for persons with intellectual and physical disabilities, especially intellectual disabilities. So she started this program with summer camps and so on, and then it grew internationally and went on to, right now we have 73 countries participating in the Winter Games coming up next year. 141 countries participated in the games in Abu Dhabi.
Right.
So in Trinidad and Tobago, Special Olympics started in 1968, with 1968 when Audrey Clark, Ken Marine, and Neville Chance came back from scholarship. They started the Special Olympics program. When they came back here, they looked for persons in physical education who had some background with working with persons with intellectual disabilities. At the time, my late wife was the only physical education teacher at the time that did a thesis on adaptive physical education. So she was sought and brought in. Those days, I was courting still, so I was the driver kind of thing, taking her to the meetings and so on and sitting in the background. Right? I was also into athletics, so when it started, I started as a volunteer in the area of track and field. Right, and we took the first games we participated was that same year that they in Soldier Field in Chicago.
Right.
And we took two athletes. If I can remember, the name of the two athletes was Linda Peters and Kelvin Noel. one from Lady Ochoa North School and one from Lady Ochoa South. We competed at that time in one discipline of sport, and that was track and field.
Right.
Today, as I said, we do 8 disciplines in the summer and 1 discipline in winter.
All right. So I see I'm not sure if Mr. Telfer could hear us and see us now. Good evening, Mr. Telfer. No, doesn't seem so. So Mr. Williams, so I know that in Special Olympics celebrated its 50th anniversary in 2019.
Yeah, 3 years ago, yeah.
Right. What
3 years ago we celebrated.
I mean, what does it mean to celebrate 50 years? I know it's 52 or 53 now, but what does it mean?
Well, what it means is we looked at the growth of Special Olympics. As I said, in '68, we started with 1 discipline of sport, participating at the World Games, 1 discipline. Today, we do 9 disciplines, 8 at summer and 1 at winter. Now, if you ask John Public, who were the first Trinidadians to participate in a Winter Olympics, of course, they will tell you it was 2 bobsledgers that did that. But 4 years prior to that, Special Olympics took a team to a Winter Games in Austria. That was 25 years ago. All right, and we participated and came back with a gold medal in the first ever Winter Olympics. But that has not been recorded anywhere. All right. So what the development of Special Olympics using the persons with intellectual disabilities and the growth. As I said, we started with 1 discipline. We moved from track and field, we went into volleyball, we do soccer or what we know as football, we do aquatics, we do gymnastics, we do equestrian, we do a game called bocce, of which there are 3 sports that is played in Trinidad that only persons with intellectual disabilities play. Bocce is one, floor hockey is the other one, and now we are into a new one called floorball. No other population in Trinidad and Tobago play those 3 games. So Special Olympics is the authority on these 3 games. Right, so that's what we look at. We started with 3 schools, so the schools that were under the Carmelite Sisters, and today we across Trinidad and Tobago we have about 27 schools and about 5 institutions that is a part of Special Olympics.
So what are some of the challenges that you all face in Special Olympics?
The major challenge is recognition. It somehow only when the athletes achieve something you hear about them. But to get an interview here while they are preparing, it's always hard. When we came back from Abu Dhabi, it was a big splash. But prior to Abu Dhabi, we couldn't get to talk about the preparation for Abu Dhabi, you know. So those are some of the funding is one of the major problems with to keep the organization running. Of course, the Ministry of Sport and Digicel are 2 major sponsors. We have other corporate entities that come on board with us from time to time, but funding is one of our major obstacles in getting the program moving.
How many athletes active? I mean, I know we have COVID, so it may be different now, but how many active Special Olympic athletes you would say we would have in Trinidad and Tobago?
At the last games, we had 521 athletes registered, but
right.
Of course, just like any other sport, the athletes will register, but on the day, we got about 325 participating. All right, because sometimes something might happen, can't come, they didn't come, this one, you know. So
So why?
Today we are. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, we are now rolling out our return to training activities for Special Olympics. Today was our first day with actual face-to-face back to training. We are preparing a team for the World Winter Games in January 2022.
Right.
Of course, with the COVID restrictions, we had to curtail training, and we had to put things in place to start back our training sessions. Of course, all the precautions has to be put in. The athletes have to do their tests before. They have to be equally distanced on the floor when they're practicing and that sort of thing. They must wear face shields and all. All the COVID restrictions, we have to abide by them so that we are rolling out. Today, as I said, was the first day. So we move on. Thursday is the other practice day, and we practice 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Pleasantville Indoor Facility. So they're getting ready for the 2022 World Games, Winter Games.
And final question, any final words that you have for Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, we also celebrate what is called Eunice Kennedy, who is the founder of our organization. She'll be celebrating 100 years. She's dead now, but commemorative 100 years. On the 26th of September, it will be Eunice Kennedy Shriver Day. And what we do, all the programs across the world will host some activity that will commemorate the birthday of Eunice Kennedy Shriver. Words for Trinidad and Tobago. We hope that our persons who would like to help our organization in any way, whether it be a coach, a volunteer, or just a cheerleader, contact Special Olympics Trinidad and Tobago, and there will always be somebody there to give you further information on the area that you would like to volunteer in.
And how can they get in contact with Special Olympics?
You can go online, Trinidad and Tobago Special Olympics on Facebook, on YouTube. We are now putting up a website. It should be ready to go by the end of the month. But right now, Facebook and YouTube Special Olympics TT.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we weren't able to get in Mr. Telfer due to technical difficulties, but I know he has given a lot of his time and energy towards development of swimming.
Yes, yeah.
And I want to thank you as well for the time that you devote to these very special athletes, and wish you and Special Olympics all success in the future.
Thank you. It was nice being on the program.
Okay, thank you. So that was Mr. Clayton Williams. He's the Sport and Training Director at the Special Olympics Trinidad and Tobago. We were supposed to have Mr. Telfer, but we weren't able to connect with him. But we're still on the topic of Special Olympics as we go into our next segment, which is our Visualize Chlorine Champions. Right, so as we said, this is the segment Chlorine Champions, where we feature anyone who does any activity in the swimming pool. It could be recreational swimming, it could be competitive swimming, aqua aerobics. Special Olympics is included in that list as well. And coming up next is Mr. Donovan Garib. Let me see if I can get you all. Right, good evening, Donovan. Good evening, Donna.
Good evening.
Afternoon.
Donna, you're kind of hiding a little bit.
See me?
So, yeah, we could kind of work with that. Good evening, and how are you all doing this evening?
We're good.
All right, so, hey, what, Donna? When I need you, I'll go call you. Let me see. So this is Donovan Garib, who in 2019, he went to the Special Olympics World Games in Abu Dhabi. And what did you do in that Olympics, Donovan?
I end up going to swim for our country.
Right, and the events, what events did you take part in?
100 freestyle,
Right,
50 butterfly,
right.
and 4x50 freestyle. Relay.
Really. And I understand you brought home some gold medals?
Yes.
In which one of the events?
One goal is 100 freestyle.
Right.
Next goal is 4x50 freestyle relay.
Right. Right.
And the two bronze is
50 butterfly.
50 butterfly.
And you remember when you started to learn to swim? You remember that first learn to swim?
I learned to swim 4 years old.
At 4 years old?
Yes.
Right. And, well, I know you learned to swim. That was by, where you learned to swim? You remember? Was it by
Aquafence.
Auntie Lisa?
Yes.
Right. So how did you get involved in competitive swimming?
Joining the RWB
Joining RWB
competitive program.
program for competitive swimming, and
That was with Coach Yannick? With Coach,
what's that?
was that with Coach Yannick?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So tell me, why do you love swimming? You love swimming or you like swimming?
I love swimming.
Why? Why do you love swimming?
Keeps you focused.
To keep me focused,
Keeps fit.
to keep me fit, and it was make me better.
So, Donna, you're getting permission to slide in the shot for a little bit. Let me see.
What's that?
You're getting permission to come in now.
Okay,
This
thank
is
you.
This is Donovan's mom, Donna. Good evening, and thank you for agreeing to do this. I mean, can you tell us a little bit more about Donovan's, like his special need?
Okay. It all started when he was 4 months old.
Right.
Being a child of meningitis, and his challenges due to the meningitis growing up, you know, it delayed his learning ability.
Right.
You know, there were a lot of challenges with him growing up, and doing a lot of therapy, physiotherapy, speech therapy, and it really was a challenge with him, you know, due to the meningitis. And him being a special needs child was being delayed by the meningitis.
Okay. So, Donovan,
Yes.
let me answer a question. How have people in swimming treated you knowing that you have a special need?
They have nothing treat me and different. Know that I am a special need person.
So they have treated you differently? Sorry,
No,
Donna.
they treat you normal.
They treat me normal.
Right. So, and what swim club you belong to?
Seahawks.
And how is that? How is swimming for Seahawks?
It going good.
Right.
I want to keep training hard and keep it up.
Let me ask the next one. Who were some of the main people that helped you, like in your swimming career?
Atiteran, Evelyn,
Right.
Brian, and Stephen Telfer.
What about your mommy? Your mommy help you too?
And my family too.
Right. So if you're now joining us, this is the visualized segment we call Chlorine Champions, and we have our 2019 gold medalists, Mr. Donovan, Garib. Donovan, when you win, how you felt when you won those medals, the gold medals, and you heard they play the anthem and thing?
No.
No, it
They
wasn't like
end
that.
up playing the team song.
The team song.
The team song.
Right. Okay, but how was that experience knowing that you won gold for Trinidad and Tobago?
The first goal I won, I felt good and excited.
And you're looking forward to go to any further Special Olympics?
Yes.
And I know you can't go to the pool and things. You can't go to the pool now. So how have you been training?
On a Monday to Friday, we will have Zoom and we will work out.
All right. So let me ask you some quick questions. Who's your favorite swimmer?
George Babel.
All right, good. You prefer dogs or cats?
Dogs.
All right. What was your favorite medal at the Special Olympics? Which one you like the most?
Freestyle.
The 100 free. And you prefer to be a sea lion or a seahawk?
Seahawks.
All right, all right. So let me bring in Donna again. Donna, you can take a peep again. So Donna, how has swimming assisted in Donovan's development?
So swimming has assisted Donovan a lot in the sense that it kept him focused, it kept him fit. Because when Donovan now started swimming, he was a chubby boy. And with this swimming,
I remember that.
with this swimming, he has lost a lot of weight and kept it off. It kept him fit, and it helped him to focus and do make himself better. Wanting better for himself.
Is it, as a parent, is it something you would... Actually, let me not go there yet. Hold on, I lose a little... Is it that, as a parent, would you encourage other athletes to get, or parents to get their kids involved in Special Olympics?
I would definitely do, because besides the swimming, there is a lot of other sport that they can get involved with. There is equestrian, which is horseback riding. There is bocce. There is basketball. There is track and field. There is a lot of other sport that they could get involved in besides the swimming with Special Olympics. And I mean, it takes them far. Even though they have special needs, it takes them far.
And Donna, you went at Abu Dhabi?
Yes, I did.
How was that? How was the whole experience?
It was a very nice experience, just being out there with him, competing, seeing him compete among so many different children around the world and seeing him achieving those medals. It was breathtaking. It was amazing.
And as a parent, we're winding up the interview now. So as a parent involved in Special Olympics, what would you like to see differently?
My biggest thing is children with special needs should be treated equal. It's just that they're different in their own way, but I think they should be treated the same as any other athlete, because they work just as hard as any other athlete, or even twice as hard, because of their special needs and their challenges. I think that they should be treated the same and no different.
And Donovan, I have the final question for you. Same kind of question. I mean, you are doing swimming. What would you say to other parents about getting the kids involved in swimming or any other Special Olympic sport?
It's all the pride on their disability, but to other special needs children, I will advise that swimming is a great sport that help with disability and focus.
So I would like to, this is a segment I would say sponsored by Visualize, and I would like to thank Donovan and Donna who peeping in and out. Thank you for your time this evening and thank you for sharing with us. And I wish you all the best and continue to keep safe.
Thank you very much for having us.
No problem. So this was a segment called Chlorine Champions, sponsored by Visual Eyes. And up next, we have our Coaches Connection, featuring Coach Rocky, Coach Asia, Coach Kyle, and Coach Kern. So Rocky and them will tell you who they are. But continue to tune into the show, and please have a good night.
Well, hello there. Good evening, everyone. On the 5G tonight, you're not going to get nothing pixelated. Yeah, you laughed at me last week, huh? All right. I suppose they're making a grand entrance, so Jason must not paying them in. How are you? Hey, well, here they are. Good evening, good evening. All right. Pleasant evening. So, persons, viewers, welcome to Coaches Connection. We try to connect with not just the aquatic fraternity, but we try to go across the board and introduce you to, what we're going to touch on tonight, actually, which is the holistic aspect of coaching and not just individualized to specific sports, right? So, Asia, myself, Asia, Rocky. I want to introduce you to, we have on the left in the national flag on his chest, right? We have Mr. Kyle Hannays, right? He's the head of coaching and development in the TNT Tennis Association. He's a tennis coach, a Master's of Education in Coaching, Education and Athlete Development. He went to Xavier University, Ohio. He was the first person from the region to present at the 2019 International Tennis Federation Worldwide Coaches Conference in Thailand. And I personally know him as a renowned coach and coach development personnel. So, he has taught me, I don't know him too long, but he has taught me a lot. And hopefully he'll teach us a lot tonight from his perspective. All right. Also on the right, we have Kern George, former captain of the TNT men's basketball team. He has an MSc in Sports and Exercise Science, University of Wisconsin Lacrosse. Basketball coach in 2019. He was honored by Courts Trinidad as the Courts hero for the work he has done with the Success Basketball Academy in Maloney. Right. So, tonight, what we want to touch on is I know in previous episodes, Asia and I would have discussed amongst other coaches where coaches, you do your part, right? So your role is swimming, try and stick to that, all right? Your role is strength and conditioning, you try and stick to that. And within the whole puzzle itself, you try to find pieces to help you complete the puzzle, all right? So I want to start with tennis first, Kyle, all right? Kern, you can listen as well because this question is directed to you as well. But how important is the holistic skill? So outside of tennis, right? What these athletes are taught, how important do you see it?
Pleasant evening to you, Asia, and your viewers. Kern, Nice to see you, buddy. All right. A very important question. And Darren, to be quite honest, when we talk about the skills outside of the sport of tennis, we refer to it in academic and in sport. We refer to it as you talk about those fundamental skills, right? So we talk about physical literacy. Those skills, that physical literacy is something that we here in the Caribbean and outside, we have neglected for a long time. Now, Darren, Kern, we would have gotten those skills from playing scooch, picking mango, we'd have jumping hoops, we would have developed that. Now with change in society, in the gadgets, those things are lacking. So I'm also a physical education teacher, and interacting with some Form 1s and Form 2s, you realize that they lack the fundamental skills, running, hopping, jumping. And it's so frightening is that the thing I like to preach is that I need to have an athlete before I can make them into a tennis player. Mm-hmm. So the first things first is about building the athlete. So I need an athlete who have those qualities. It's that important. So to answer your question, then, it's extremely important. And we always need to strive to build the athlete before we actually look to build a sportsman or a sportswoman in a specific sport.
All right, thanks. Cool. Share the same sentiments as Kyle? What do you think? Cool, we're not hearing you.
We can hear you.
Hearing me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Man. Nice, man. So, yeah, actually same sentiments as Kyle. And welcome everybody, by the way. Really nice to see you. I share the same sentiments because of being heavily involved in physical education. We really see the lack of fundamental motor skills. You know, I have been blessed to have all the athletes who don't even know their elbow from their eyes. When they reach and they come in at the age of 15, 16, 17, and you have to teach them how to run properly. And right now, that's a major thing with many of our basketballers. You know, we don't even know how to run properly. And you're right, Kyle. You know, back in the day, we would have played all the different activities that led to us becoming athletes before we became specialized in particular sporting disciplines. And but the holistic approach is very important for me. Before you become an athlete, I know we will get a little bit more deeper into that, but I do share the same sentiments with Mr. Hannays thus far.
All right, nice. I mean, I want to take it back a bit, right? So I think it is a cyclical dilemma where we have the coaches, right? They go into the sport thinking that, hey, you know what? I am going, so freestyle, elbows high, long reach. I am going to teach you this. Right? However, if your problem stems that you are, let's say, lack flexibility, just for a simple example, right? That is not my business. That is not my portfolio, right? And I think that's a big issue, right? So Kyle, I know you are heavily involved in coach development, right? Is this something that you see coaches often forgetting the holistic responsibility?
Most definitely, and that's something that we actually strive on in coach education. As you all would have heard me mention already, as coaches, we are lifelong learners. We are lifelong learners, and we need to accept that, right? We need to be always seeking information, new knowledge. It's changing outside there. And this is something that all the coach education programs that I facilitate, I always stress on the holistic approach. We as coaches need to look at, it is our responsibility. If we really analyze, what is the definition of a coach? Somebody could tell you, hey, it's a teacher. We are role models. We are strength and conditioning coaches. We are psychologists. We are friends. We wear so many hats, and we need to understand how influential we are as coaches and what is our true calling. What is our responsibility? Are we just in this for the glamour just to say that we are a coach, or do we really understand the true role and responsibility of being a coach, the impact and Kern George, I'm sure, could elaborate on that in terms of the amount of lives that he would have touched and not even realizing until you really get a wake-up call that, wait, they said the real impact thereon is down the road, 10 years, 15 years down the road, when one of your past students call and say, Coach, hey, here is now seeing what we were talking about, Coach. Coach, thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, Coach, you know where I would have been? Coach, the day that you would have done X, Y, Z for me, that stuck with me for the entire rest of my career. Those are the times that we realize, oh, wait, this is really my calling. No amount of money could really compensate for that type of feeling.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kyle. And Darren, you know, the question that you just said there, you just asked regarding, you know, I realize that many coaches come into coaching just to coach the sport itself. That's the coach. That's the coach.
Yeah.
Not even to teach, just to coach. And we realize that many coaches can't teach. And an aspect is very important in coaching.
Wow.
You know, and you realize from the time you see athletes, and I was talking to my wife about this, whereby you could literally know a lot of things about coaches from the time you see players.
Yeah.
You will have the few who don't really represent you too good.
Yeah.
You know. But from the holistic approach, when you see athletes, you know, okay, that's a good coach. He has not been teaching certain things.
Yeah.
I've been a part of the basketball fraternity as a coach for the last 8 years, and people know us for my teams for shooting. If it is you cannot shoot a basketball, I have a coach who said if you can't shoot the basketball, you cannot play basketball. And we realize that there are plenty teams in Trinidad and Tobago who cannot shoot the basketball. No, they could shoot the basketball. Anybody could shoot.
No,
inside of the hoop. You understand? And you realize that you cannot be coming on for years and your team cannot shoot. So we play 2-3 zone because teams cannot shoot in Trinidad. But once you play 2-3 zone against us, we will shoot you down. And you realize that, and it's a serious thing what you're saying there, what you asked there, Darren. And many coaches, I realize that they really and truly cannot teach. You know, and the day we started teach the sport, and don't just try to just and you know we are at a little advantage, Kyle, when it is you do physical education or you do education. Or you do courses that contribute to you learning how to teach. I didn't know about teaching. I could really influence people and that kind of thing. But you know, going into being a part of the education system really opened my eyes and said, "Whoa! I didn't know it was this big." And you know, and we realized that a lot of coaches and a lot of people don't want to go deep into how to. They just want to stick to what they know and what somebody taught them, and that was it.
Yes.
I think it's a cultural thing too.
Yeah.
I'll share a little bit. But the same way we believe big men don't cry, big men shouldn't show affection and emotion, right? I think coaches often believe, I passed that stage, you know. I'm a coach, right? So I don't have to teach, learn to swim. I remember I was watching an article with Bob Bowman, Michael Phelps, our coach, and he was saying Michael Phelps will work hours of a skill called side glide and kick. In our Learn to Swim program, side glide and kick is a prerequisite, right? And we drill that. And that is something that is basic. And he was saying that Michael Phelps, this is in his world-renowned time, this is when he was Michael Phelps, right? And he would do hours of this a week. And I think we need to get off the fact that, hey, you know what? What got me here is not what's going to keep me and help me get from here even higher. We just neglect the past now. I remember time Asia and I were having a discussion, right? And Asia, I would watch Asia's classes, and Asia would teach Learn to Swim. And to get back on the topic of holistic development, Asia would have a child play, right? And a big thing is communication with the parents. Communication, I believe, right? Asia would have a child play and learn to swim at the same time. And he would have instructors alongside Asia trying to teach the child to swim solely. And the collaboration of the two, Asia would get better results at the end of the day, right? I even saw an article with US, one of the female gymnasts, right? She made it to the Olympics. And she was talking about, I can't remember her name, how she had to take some time off and she wasn't really focused on gymnastics, but she had a team just trying to get her mind right. Right? So we really need to realize, hey, you know what? This is what is needed in the individual. And all right, so if you realize an individual needs more nutrition than swim-specific skills, we work that aspect. You need more, I'm just saying, there's a formula. Right?
You see, but Darren, sorry, not mean to cut you. Excellent point in what you're making there. But here the big point. Coaches, the research has shown, coaches coach the way we were taught until we know better. That's the research, that's the reality. We are coached the way we were taught. So if I was taught by a coach who's yelling at me and bawling, that is how I am going to coach.
Exactly.
That's the reality. That is the reality. Until I know better, is then again you're bringing the point that Kern would have mentioned about teaching, and we say not all coaches can teach, and we talk about that big word that people like to use, pedagogy, and we say that's the art and science of teaching. A lot of people have information, but they can't impart. And you would have made reference to Asia just now, and I can attest to that. Yes, she's gifted when dealing with the children because she has an ability to impart the information when dealing with the children. Not everybody has that gift, and that's the reality. Not everybody has that. So they were, for example, if you may ask Coach Kern, Coach, you prefer dealing with the younger ones, and he might say, listen, I can do it, but I don't like to. I mean, like, and you may ask another coach who's a high performance coach, they could do it, but they don't like to because it's a difference. And again, if you could shine Asia here a bit in terms of your experience, in terms of how do you actually do it? Yeah.
So I'm not actually gonna add, like, even in my job, like dealing with college athletes, even with national athletes that I've been coaching recently, like I tell people it's more about teaching. Like I teach more than I coach. Like we are not at a stage where I could just let them like, okay, come in, write stuff down and then go. I still do a lot of teaching. And even in Learn to Swim, even at like the highest level of Learn to Swim where they right before like pre-competitive, you still do a lot of teaching. And as you all rightfully said, a lot of coaches don't know how to teach. And I think a lot of coaches don't spend the time learning how to teach because, again, like you all said, they already have that. I'm a coach, so I don't need to do this. So they kind of like, instead of investing in themselves and like digging deeper and finding ways for themselves to get better, they now kind of blame the kids. Like, they can't do this because, and sometimes I always tell people, if I think majority of the class cannot do something, you need to reflect on yourself and be like, is it the kids or is it me? Am I the problem? Am I the limiting factor to these athletes that I coach?
I want to
that's a big problem that we have.
And that way you just said, I remember a couple of years ago, Asia, that a young man came to my academy, and I was teaching normally how I teach layup, right, left, up, layup, right, left, up, layup, and for 2.5 hours, this young man cannot get right, left, up, and I started to shout, and I started to, because everybody else I have taught this exact same way, and it have worked, but it ended up in 2.5 hours. And I shouted and I said, what do you mean you cannot do this? What do you mean? That young man never came back to basketball again. And after that, I sat down and reflected. And I said, it took a while for me to be honest with myself and said, so there's probably another way to teach this. And that's what I actually found out. And then God started to send a bunch of athletes like that one to see what is I learned from my lesson. And they will pick up slow. You know, we'll always start these slow ones. They really cannot grasp it that much. So you have to find option number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and sometimes 6 and 7 to actually teach us one skill. But you know what it also requires? Patience. And we have inside of coaching, patience is a big virtue that many coaches don't have. And that's why, based on what Kyle just said, Some coaches will say, and he answered for me, yes, I could coach little ones. Do I really want to? Not really, but I could coach them. But the development ones, I realized, oh, I love development, so I could coach. But I know plenty of coaches who cannot coach development athletes. They only want the elite ones, the ones of them who know what they mean when they say launch. I don't need that. I want the ones of them from nothing, and that brought a passion inside of me from nothing, so I can make them into something. Some people don't like that.
Yeah, correct. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No. Darren, you're going back to the point. You made a point there just now in terms of how do we curb this? How could we really get that? And the real answer there, you always hear me saying this, is education. Coaches need to commit.
My attention have gone first, because my question to you guys was gonna be, how important do you think education is? And I ask that because I think because we all have a high level of education. So we know, okay, that we have visual learners, we have kinesthetic learners, we have audio learners. So if I see a child and they wouldn't grasp something from me talking, I might show them. But then that is because we know, like the different types of learning styles. So we are already at an advantage as a coach. But what about the coaches who just did like an online course or weekend course? So my question was like, how important do you think education is? But you took it right out of my mouth.
Extremely. And sorry, Darren, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, whatever.
Yeah, so again, as we say, coach education, but I like the word education kind of keeps people off, some coaches. When you say education, they'll be like, education. So we want to use the word coach continuous development. Continuous development, right? Yeah. So it's just about the twist of using words, continuous development. And we as coaches, as I mentioned previously, we are lifelong learners. Every day things keep changing, and we need to keep up with the science. We need to keep up to date. We need to keep doing the research. We need to bring the best. And when we start committing ourselves to continuous development, it would have a positive effect on our athletes, then by extension, their parents, and by extension, your club. So it's integral. Yeah, Darren.
I think education helps in a big issue for me. I don't think anything is worse than a coach that lacks confidence. When I say lacks confidence, as we say, can't teach but could coach. So I could go on YouTube and get workouts and give it. But my confidence in orchestrating these workouts and really getting the best out of you. For example, like I have given drills, right? And on the point of education, that I know it is not something I want the child to continue practicing. However, this child, I realize, doesn't learn the way I would normally teach it, right? Like, for example, I've strapped broomsticks onto somebody's back, right? And I know at the end of the day, it's going to be very difficult for them to swim. It will keep falling off. However, I know that person, they're eager. So if I send them to swim, they're going to just keep going and doing nonsense. The broomstick makes them have to stop. I know the broomstick wasn't going to help them, because the broomstick dangling. But it acted in a different way, where I got them to slow down, because I couldn't tell them slow down. By the time they go in that water, they will speed up their stroke and not what I asked. So you see that education, I think it heavily impacts the confidence. And as a coach, you want to be confident in what you're teaching, that you could back it up. If a parent come and tell you, why you shove a broomstick onto my child? Mommy, X, Y, and Z. So it comes down to confidence and helping the holistic aspect of a child now. Because it's more than just you could shoot, you can lay up. No, if you can't do it. I have seen my learn to swim instructors, and they would sit down and they would tell persons, all right, do it. And they will say it, maybe drop the A, the is, and very few words and expect them to get it. Right? And I'll be like, do you know what the meaning of insanity is? Right? And at the end of the day, we need to stop bordering on insanity, where I'm telling you X, Y, and Z. You're not getting it. And I'm continuing, I've seen it slower, I've seen it faster, and I think that's the problem now. Right? I need to try different methods. Right? Yeah. So, Kern, just to get back into it, how impactful, I mean, we're talking about sports and on the court, right? I know you say you have your academy and stuff. right? I know you. I've seen you around and stuff. I know. I've seen you by the pool and seen you around. Right? Very passionate. But what you do on the court could only be. It is reflective of what happens to the person before they come to training, right? How impactful have you seen the person's life, as in what is off the court? How impactful have you seen it in what goes on under your stewardship when they come to you?
I mean, I have a saying, and all my players, always, I told them this, what you do off the court reflects your on the court play. And I believe that solely. And I got a chance to show them that the way how you live your life, and as the way how you live your life will impact. I remember I always give them the illustration with me making the national team for Trinidad and Tobago in 2009, and going out there. And before I left Trinidad, I wasn't missing a shot, and from the time I reached across in British Virgin Islands, I remember the Jamaican coaches, and anytime I'm making a sub, saying, "Hey, shooter, shooter, shooter," but I was a shooter without no bullets. When I reach across, nothing is falling, and players will always say, well, this was me back then. I probably had a bad game, but then after the second game came, it was the same thing. And then the third game came and it was the same thing. I said, well, I didn't know I just being cool. It's only years after when I became a coach and God started to download that into me with regarding your off the court. I started to look back at myself and I said, but wait. When I went across there, I was going out late in the night, liming, going in the clubs, and then coming back 4 o'clock and have in Trinidadians. And I remember the Australia came down here some years ago, cricket team came down here some years ago for carnival, around carnival time. And West Indies cricketers, boy, test match, them going out there, boy, in the night. And Australians stayed inside. And when they come back home, when they come back in the morning for the test match, it's licks like peas.
Voila.
And you have to understand that your off the court life really, and you have to be honest with yourself. This calls for honesty. A lot of people are doing bad things. Athletes are doing bad. So I teach athletes, that you really and truly have to live a morally good life, a holy life. And you'll even see that happening right now with people like Trayvon Bromwell, and Sidney McLaughlin. And these people are living righteous, holy before God, and they're beating people, and they are actually seeing these things happen when athletes doing good in life, literally, like LeBron James. You never see LeBron James and no sort of scandal all over the place, and with this woman, and you see him successful, but all the artists you see, all the creators, you're seeing all kind of things happening with them, and that was just from that aspect, but also even from a strength and conditioning aspect, even from getting your body or things that you do off the court. If you're not doing things right off the court, when you go on the court, what you are going to expect? God has only made one in every 100,000 in a LeBron James. He has made one in every 100,000 in a Michael Phelps. That them fellas, Michael Phelps could have probably go to the party in the night and beat everybody. People like you and I, we need to stay inside and go and play. I don't know why I'm Asian State. Yeah.
Do you think that our culture allows for that type of coaching and nurturing? And I ask this because I had a conversation today with an athlete, and right now they're doing 2 different types of training. They're training somebody else and then they come and train with me. And they will ask me a question, Coach, why are we doing this? But I see it as an opportunity to teach the athletes and explain to them why we're doing something. Right. And then he asked and he was like, I really like you because the other coach, they see it as you're being disrespectful. And I think a lot of coaches now still see where athletes ask questions as being like disrespectful or
correct.
Like they're being
opposition.
Excellent point.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent point.
So I tell it to do, it's I kind of do as I say, but you're not educating the athletes. Correct. So like, do you think that that's a cultural thing?
So going back, culture is something that we touch on. I'll tell you why I say that, right? This is my saying. I like to believe this, right? Leadership breeds culture. Let me repeat that one more time. Leadership breeds culture.
Yeah.
So if your leadership accept a team to go outside, as Kern was alluding to lime and party and all these things, that's the culture that's going to be developed.
Culture. Yeah.
That's the reality. But if we have a leadership that understands the importance of preparation, and they understand the importance of injury prevention, and they understand nutrition, and we start to breed a culture now in terms of that. Just to go back a bit on Kern's point in terms of how important, bringing it back to the coaching realm, how important is reflection. As coaches, in order for us to improve, we need to be able to reflect. So I mentioned this to you when I'm on the court. Every single session that I run with my athletes, I reflect on the session. And I ask myself 3 questions, simple questions. What went well in this session? My next question, what could have been better? And the follow-up question, how could I have improved on that particular area that could have been better? Every single session. What went well in this session? What could have been better? And how could I have improved on this particular area? And when we start to reflect, it's an integral part of us as coaches. We need to reflect on our sessions. We sit down and we say, hey, what went well? Hey, this went well. Or what didn't go so well? Hey, my time management. I didn't get to finish I wanted to do, I just using swimming for example, Darren. I wanted to do the front crawl. I wanted to do the backstroke, but I didn't get to finish the backstroke. I only started and time ran out. So then what didn't go well? My time management. Time management. My management of my session wasn't well. So again, it goes back now for us asking the question, Kyle, did you plan properly? Did you plan? What was your, and planning comes back into everything that we do. So again, I just wanted to piggyback on that in terms of an integral part being coaches, being reflective practitioners, right? It's very integral to the success of you as a coach as well and to your program.
Yeah. So Kern, like with your basketball program, how do you reflect in terms of do you do it like by the session, by the month, by the season? Like when do you reflect on things like that with your team?
I think it depends, but it depends on the periodization of the periodization time. But for me, it's every session. I want to get it right the next session all the time. I don't play with that, so I will always. My drive home be my reflection time. I love the drive home, just to reflect, just to say, hey, what I realizing, and as well inside of this season, I have started to journal a lot. I hate writing. I just hate writing. But as coaches, we need to love writing because you can always go back and see. So I try to find all kind of ways. So now that I had the thing with the app, you could talk and it type in for you. So I talking it out now. I'm trying to find all kind of ways because when you look back, you could actually see, hey, okay, you wouldn't remember everything, but so I do it every session. I think it's needed to be done every session so that the next session could be better.
But the thing is that
I think that's so important, like for us especially, to reflect on not just like the kids' performance, but like our performance as well. Because at the end of the season or like whatever time we all do it, you could say, okay, what went well in my program? For me, like with us as a strength and conditioning coach, like what did I leave out? And it's so important because then you can always come and be like, hey, this is where I went wrong, and this is where next season I will improve on and stuff like that. Because I just remember this from I think it was Coach Sanka from a couple of weeks ago. He mentioned like coaches are still coming on the deck with no workout plan. Coaches show up to training and it's like, okay, we're just gonna do whatever on the day. We're just gonna warm up. We're gonna walk through our drill. But then, what then?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Correct. I realize even with me, I hated to even write down planning. I'll be honest. I hated to write down a plan. I like to go swing it, wing it. But you see, I used to wing it based on this. When it is you're in a culture that the overall culture. You don't even know when is the next basketball tournament. You don't even know when is the when is the next national team. You don't even know when is the next whatever. So not having an overall idea, it kind of messes you up. And so then sometimes when I say preparing a particular team for a tournament, that is when I get in that mood of real preparing. But the development side of things, you have to really go with your development plan, but also you have but within the last couple of years or so, even before the lockdown, we were getting athletes who just come in. Every week you getting 2 new athletes. Every week, 2 new athletes. Every week. It's kind of weird to actually stick to a program, especially when it is I don't have the, okay, you will go across there by Anti-Asia, right? And you will be in that group by Anti-Asia. They're dealing with that crew. You there will be by Coach Darren across there. It's just me alone. So now I now have to cater for this crew who are this level. Bring them back with this time. It has been kind of different, but coming out of this season, coming out into this after this pandemic, I am really looking forward to because we got time to plan. We got time to do many things as coaches. And the funny thing is many coaches have not even used this time wisely with planning for one day, because there's going to be an influx in swimming, in tennis, in basketball, in football. When the country opens back up, I am guaranteeing you there's going to be an influx, but some coaches and some programs are going to crash with the influx. Some are going to stand. Some are going to stay ready for a little, stay afloat for a little bit. Which one are you?
It's interesting that you made that point there about just in general, not planning and things that you would do, right? And how is only one of you, etc., right? I mean, it's a double-edged sword because we have discussed it already. Coaches are not paid in this country what they deserve. So at the end of the day, your membership will reflect something, right? So if you are working for a club, the membership cannot afford the club to invest in your development, right? So you can start there. So most coaches have to either find the money for themselves because of passion, wants to learn better. But as we discussed earlier, most coaches just see it as, hey, you know what? Let me give a few instructions, and they don't see the value of their role, right? So we now fighting against persons who they come for money, they're not getting that. So if they have to be better, they have to put it out of their pocket, which they ain't getting rewarded already for. So how do we now? Because I mean, yes, I'm not saying I am any top-notch coach, but I know my passion is there and I will continue to improve, right? So we have things that we want a certain way. How do we now? Because we can't change the culture, the situation in this country. We are catalysts, but we can't be the sole changes that we want to see, right? How then are we going to bring about this change? Kern, you can start it. How can we bring about this change in coaching? You talk about culture of the athletes, right? Where we think it's cool to go away and lime and thing. And I would watch it. I'll watch our locals versus other countries. It's different. And our coaching as well. The coaches, they rock back. Hey, are you free trip, right? So how do we then inculcate that culture in our coaches? Because it will trickle along to the athletes. But if it starts rotten at the top, don't feel the bottom going to be any better, right? So how do we then just try to nip it and change the whole culture of coaching, you think?
I will tell you this. Number one, give Christ everything. I won. Number two, every single one of us, because the guards are changing.
Yeah.
Every single one of us, when we do get that one opportunity and that chance to be in positions to influence change, we need to do, whether it be on the administrative level, whether it be on the coaching level, whether it be whatever level, don't back down. I will encourage all the people who have been educated, do not go into these positions and just, I cannot disagree with you, Darren, with regard. I wanted to just say, and I know even people like my brother Patrick Scipio will say the same thing. We always believe we can make a difference, we can take a change. We don't care what nobody say. You understand? Once it is we get a chance, let's give us a chance. And I want to employ everybody who gets a chance inside the people who have been really educated. Don't be influenced by the older heads, because what the older heads are doing is literally handing down. And Kyle said it just now there, you know, literally they are handing down all the bad apples. They're not already adding down, no, getting good, you know. They're handing down all the bad apples, so they're causing a little confusion between all of us at our level, at our age, so that we are divided. So the same thing that happened 20 years ago happens now. What we need to do is really come together. We keep saying it for years, but we don't want to do it, because they have already kind of divided us already. And once it is you do get those opportunities, and I tell Kyle this already, this chance that he has gotten, forget people. When you do get a chance, just make the best of the chance. Do not mess up your chance, because when you do mess up your chance, you give way to the enemy, and you give way to when somebody else now says, all right, he messed up his, now we're back to square one. When we do get our chance, make the best of it and bring somebody along. Bring Kyle, bring Asia, bring the people who can move forward to really make this thing happen. But I think the main thing is just giving Christ everything. That is just my opinion.
Well said, sir. Kyle?
Well, Darren, I mean, I don't normally disagree with you a lot. But that statement that you made, that
you hear for that, though?
we carry, no, and you know that, but here it is. That statement that you made, that we really can't do much, and I disagree with that. Of course we can. Okay. RWB, Kern George coaching, Kyle Hannays Tennis Club. If we start right there and embody that professional image and that standard that is required, we will have a positive impact on the country by extension. Yes. Believe it or not. Yes. Believe it or not. If we start flying flag at RWB, which you all have already started, in terms of standard, professionalism, you invest in coach education, coach development, and you all trust in the science and you're implementing the science, and you realize that coach development is integral to the success of your athletes and by extension your program, and you start to embody that, and you would start seeing when results will come. Results will come. And when the results starts coming, people will start asking questions. Hey, Darren, what are you doing at RWB? Kern, what is what are you doing? Kern might tell them something else, but we won't talk about that here. Right? But again, right? You may ask a question and is it buy-in? So people will be like, well, wait now, what you're doing really making sense. Let's continue along that line. And I believe each one of us here, Asia, you've started it already in terms of the strength and conditioning. You're starting to you're setting the bar high. The only way they can actually come is coming up the ladder. They need to come up. Come and meet me. Let's have a discussion up here. Let's have a discussion up here. Come meet me. Let's have a discussion. And then we can take it. So we are in fact influential, each one of us here in this room, and by extension, any club, we can change that. As I mentioned again, leadership breeds culture. So if you are the leadership in your organization and you set that culture, what do you think is going to happen? We impact some coaches under some of your athletes who would then become coaches, who would then carry it on. They may move on from by you, and which is fine. They may move on and they go somewhere else and they start, but you would have planted that seed and they are now passing on the knowledge going forward. So it's integral that, I mean, it has been a trying time. We have changed a lot of things within the Tennis Association in terms of policies, in terms of national program, and the challenge was there where coaches, the most dangerous phrase in the English language is this: we have always done it that way. See that phrase? We have always done it. That's the most dangerous phrase in the English language.
Where are you now?
In my opinion. Correct. So we always need to go back to reflection, and we must be receptive to constructive criticism. Somebody come and they say, hey, Kyle, I think you're doing something here, but what about this? Say, hey, you know, you have a good point. Always try to stand on the next side. Listen to it. Trust, yes, you have your background, you have done some learning, some reading, and you share that information, guys, because that's the only way we could come out from that. So again, Leadership breeds culture, and we are responsible for the change. As small as you think you are, RWB is not small. Probably in your eyes, they're not small. Coach Kern basketball, SOS, not small, very impactful. Very, very impactful. The Tennis Association of Trinidad and Tobago, we have a lot of people we can impact. Asia, coming now, you're setting a trend now from being outside in as a strength and conditioning coach, etc. You have a following. Once we, just 4 persons here, start that positive outlook, we can have a positive impact on the change that we would want to see. That's just my belief, and I will stick with that.
Agreed. And I think it was taken a little out of context, as in the changes we want to see. I mean, sometimes I want to see it in my generation now. And sometimes it's too slow for my liking. So that's how I would say the changes, because I would love to see big changes, not marginal, but I suppose incrementally we'll get there. And I think people all want to be better. I mean, they are the ones who, they just lackluster, they cool being incompetent and whatever else. But I think when you ignite that fire, when they see better can be done, whether it's athletes or coaches, they will want to get on the horse because they'll see, hey, there's a possibility. Right? So in wrapping up, I mean, everybody could say something, but I mean, just touching on tonight, as Kern mentioned, regardless how skillful they are, I think more and more we're seeing that, hey, you know what, skill does stand on its own, right? There are props and foundations, right? So you can be how skillful if you don't do the right things outside of your element of sport, whether it's in the pool, on the track, on the court, wherever it is, you're not going to get the results you want. So you just stop thinking like with your one blinders, it goes far beyond our environment in the sport solely. And I think we really need to, I mean, it's nice that we touched on it tonight, right? That we really need to just expand our horizon. As coaches, see our job as important. I mean, it seems like a repeat of the last episode and the episode before, but I firmly believe, and seeing the passion in this virtual session, that we have the passion, we have what it takes. We just have to get out there and do it. All right, so Asia, Kern, Kyle, I'll hand it over to you all if you all have any closing remarks.
Well, yeah, I will. Well, you could go ahead, ladies, before Joe.
I just have one sentence. I just want to tell coaches, don't be the limiting factor to your athletes. That's all.
Yeah.
Don't be the limiting factor.
I like that. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I want to, for the coaches who are listening, guys, commit to professional development. All the coaches who are listening, commit yourself to professional development. Parents who are listening, also hold your coaches responsible for professional development, right? So you all hold the power as well in terms of parents, right? Hold us accountable. We're supposed to be here to serve the children. Coaches, commit to professional development. That's the only way we're going to change this dilemma here. And I mean, continue, guys. Leadership breeds culture.
Yeah.
Leadership breeds culture.
Yeah. For me, it's, well, number one, somebody in the comments said, make sure I'm telling you, Kyle have no more SOS again. Stories of sexes, SOS is no longer again.
Okay.
It's a whole rebranding. We have a new rebranding coming out right now. Very soon, new brand coming out. New academy on the block, and so things. And I think that in this whole shift, I thought I was doing everything the correct way with regarding SOS Basketball Academy, and then God just shifted that and said, nah, we're going to do it a whole different way. And you're going to see the true fruits of where sport's supposed to be, of where this entire basketball is supposed to be. So, you know, I'm expecting big things from regarding coming out from our camp in the next couple of years. I like what Darren said. He wants to see a big change. I too, Darren, you know, I really want to see a big change. But it comes down to this as well. It comes down to us taking administration very serious. The administration aspect of our sport needs to be taken serious and not political. What we view administration as a UNC versus PNM type of thing in our federations, and we need to get away from that. And that's why I was talking about when our culture, we can't all be coaches. So when our generation gets into the administrative side of things, we need to stay there and hold the fort strong until the guards change. until now our generation is inside there for the administration, our generation is inside there for the, and it's nothing but competing generations, it's just that the guards have to change sometime or the other, and there's a time when we will have to we need to hand it over to some younger ones after us as well, and we must be able to hand it over. So I agree with all of you. It's all about continuous development, and I just want to employ every coach coming out of this pandemic that we will need to be more than coaches coming out of this pandemic, because there are a lot of different hurting children who just want to use sport as an outlet, as an avenue, and you need to prepare yourself personally and have yourself ready. I always talk about STDs, spiritually transmitted diseases. So the more you talk to athletes, the more you coach, whatever on you, remember we now say leadership breeds culture, whatever is on you falls on athletes. Take that into consideration. Fix you and you'll see your whole program just go to our next level. All right, so thanks for having us on, thanks for having me on Chlorine Callaloo. I've been watching, I've been seeing what has been, you all been doing a good job. I was talking to Jason today, and one of the things that he's saying, sometimes I just feel like if there's nobody is here, but keep doing what you're all doing. I want to encourage you all to keep doing what you're doing, because you'll just take that one person to hear, and you never know that people may not tell you anything, but they are hearing, and it was going to help. So I just want to encourage you all to continue doing what you're doing. Rocky, Asia, Jason, just continue doing what you're doing.
Yeah, parents, coaches, athletes, well-wishers, these are not paid actors, paid spokespersons. You will hear persons on this program professing the same things. As coaches, what will our legacy be? How are we impacting and influencing the future generation? Whatever their goals are, it may not always be in this sport, but how are we helping them be better, be who they want to be? Right? Don't take that chance away from them. I want to thank you all for watching Coaches Connection, hosted by Miss Asia Joseph and myself. Right? I want to thank Kyle and Kern so much for their feedback, their views, their expertise, and just their passion for sport. All right? So thanks for tuning in. All right? I'll hand you over if Jason's coming back on. All right? Good night, everyone.